Do gamers start off being as competitive as they are? Are they born that way? Or is this because of the games themselves being catered towards it? I've asked myself that question many times before, and today I'd like to talk about it. Hello and welcome, fellow virgins. It is iSuperVirgin here, and today I'd like to talk about why gamers are so competitive. Or are they? Online gaming has been around for quite some time now. It's older than I am, and lots of trends have come and gone. I think 10 years ago or more, 11, 12 years ago, co-op gaming was a lot more prominent and a lot more out there compared to what it is nowadays. Multiplayer has definitely taken more of a priority for a lot of different teams and a lot of different publishers. Single player gaming has definitely taken a hit. Back in the day, back in the 90s and 2000s, pretty much almost every game was a fully single player gameplay experience with maybe some co-op or a multiplayer mode, which was more like a team deathmatch or something, but nothing too extensive. While nowadays it's the other way around, where the multiplayer mode is the one being focused more, while the single player modes are more of a side thing that you can also experience and have fun with. But what I have noticed though is the fact that gaming has become very competitive in the last couple of years, especially, well, it's not even multiplayer games in this sense. There's even single player games where people tend to be competitive about them. Every time you go online about talking about a certain game, it's all about how it should be experienced or how you should play it. I think it was most visible when Elden Ring came out, and a lot of people throw a lot of shade at the Mimic tier, and it was like the type of thing to say now, where if you complete a boss you have to say, oh, I did it with or without the Mimic tier, which I feel like, yes, that is a strong part of the game, but it is part of the game. I don't really understand how people can now be crying about the Elden Ring DLC and saying that that is too difficult. But that to the side, people are very competitive about it. People are going to tell you that you're not good or worse than them at a certain game, even if it's just a single player experience where it doesn't really matter at all. And I think that's been indoctrinated due to the amount of multiplayer games that people have been playing for the last years. Like I said, the trend of multiplayer has gone in, but it's not just multiplayer in general, of course, because most multiplayer games, you could still have fun if you just mess around in, especially when you look at cooperative games where you just still play against AI and you're just playing with your friends. Like I said, cooperative games used to be the case for multiplayer, right? You would have a game like Dead Rising where instead of fighting the zombies alone, you would fight with a friend, or you could play a game like Minecraft and you could enjoy that with friends. It was never about PvPing. It was about working together to a same goal, and everyone did their thing. And it wasn't about, oh, I'm better at you than this, or I'm better at you than that. It wasn't competitive. It was just cooperative, working together. And games have, of course, moved to that competitive nature for a simple reason, and that is just because when you play against other people, well, then there's a lot more replay value in that game. If you have to play cooperatively or single player and it has to be catered for those experiences, well, that's going to cost a lot more time with no guarantee of people actually playing as long as when you make a game purely multiplayer against other players, because then every game or every match is different. Every single match is different because you come against different opponents with different sets of skills. And so it adds a lot more replay value. And we all know just how important replay value is for both the consumer and the creator. And if you don't yet know that yet, well, I have indeed made a video about that back, I think 2 weeks ago now. So go check that one out. Now, what I wanted to ask, like I asked in the intro, is, are gamers actually that competitive? Were they that way? Because even when you look at a single player game like Elden Ring, or you can play cooperatively, there's no real sense that that game has, I mean, it does have PvP, but that is just a small portion of the game. It's like back in the day where it's only a small part of the game, but the majority is supposed to be experienced single player, and yet people still compare to each other, right? They're still very competitive about this. And I don't really understand, is that due to them being cater that way with the games that they've been served. When I look at a Call of Duty, a Counter-Strike, a Rainbow Six Siege, a Rocket League, many different games in the multiplayer sphere are all about playing against each other, and maybe that has changed certain mindsets of certain players. Now, multiplayer games work, right? It doesn't really matter, because if they didn't, the whole gaming sphere wouldn't have moved towards multiplayer the way it is today. It works. People want to play against each other, and that is because I already said, replay value comes with that, but also just because it's fun to know that every single time it's going to be different, right? You're not experiencing the same things again. Next to that, people also really like to boast about what they have, like about the achievements they get, and there is a more casual, fun type of achievement hunting where it's like, oh yeah, I only used a stick of bread and I completed the entire game. Dead Rising challenge, I only spat on people, like stuff like that. It's fun, it's cool, it's casual, it's just to have fun with it. But some people actually get very competitive in that scene as well. That's when we look at, for instance, speed running, and a lot of people get into that Minecraft speed running and whatnot. It's in a way, I think, a lot less casual for some people, and I find that pretty sad. But then on the other hand, despite them boasting about it, there is counter evidence to people, like to gamers being competitive. Because when we look at the games that throughout the earlier months of this year and last months of the previous year, the games that really got popular were like Lethal Company, Palworld, Helldivers 2, like all games that were purely about cooperative gameplay. There is no PvP in those games whatsoever. I think Palworld may have gotten an update by now, but I don't know for sure. But Lethal Company's all about cooperative, working together, having fun, laughing. It took the world by storm. Palworld, it was all about cooperative, having fun together, catching pals. It went wild. And then you had Helldivers 2, fighting aliens and robots together as a team, as a Helldiver. Everyone got into that sphere. And when I saw those games getting the attention they did, I felt like it showed that the entire gaming community does still enjoy cooperative games and does still want to work together instead of working against each other. Because honestly, that is what online gaming should be about. But it's become this sort of sphere where if you can't win, you can't have fun. And that's what I think I hate the most about it. When I play competitive games, I think I also get mad a lot easier at games. Like when I play Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege or Rocket League, I get angrier much faster because I can have fun, because I can win from people. But when I play a game like Helldivers, all I really got to do is just shoot some aliens, right? And it's cool, it's fun, and you can laugh with your friends. Lethal Company, same thing goes. You could just have some fun. It's like, I don't understand why not more games are being released in that sense, because I do feel like cooperative gameplay is something that people have been missing for quite some time. And if you can give a cooperative game with enough replay value, enough kind of like this roguelike sense where it just gives you new stuff to do each and every time, and it's different each and every time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think it's gonna sell well. I think, if a game developer looks at this, make a game like that, it is going to do well. The toxicity of online gaming, of multiplayer gaming, has led to people using exploits or using cheats, like trying to prove that they're still better than certain other people, because that's what that thing is. That's that dopamine kick that needs to come in. Each and every time you win, you get that dopamine kick. I, for instance, yesterday played Rainbow Six Siege about the entire day. I got so fucking angry, I stomped my fucking keyboard in half. Didn't do that exactly, but you get the point. I got extremely angry. While I know that if I played something else, like another game I'm playing, which is Graveyard Keeper, I would have just casually spent hours enjoying that, like having fun. And it's not that I don't enjoy Rainbow Six, but I do feel like I'm a worse person when I play that game because I can't get as happy. And when I do win a round or win a game, that dopamine kick comes in, and you want that next hit of dopamine. You want that to come in, and that's what you keep playing. That's the hook that those games have on you. And I think that is just a toxic way of going. And I don't think that that should necessarily, well, it should change, but I don't think that we can change it. There's no logical way to take away competitive gaming, right? Because if there's no reason to be competitive, well, then a lot of those games just completely fail, right? Because then the fun part of it falls off fairly quickly, and then the game just ends up flopping. Now, when I talked about cheating, I do have to say I also have another video where I do talk about cheating. It's more primarily in CS2, but I talk a lot about just general cheating. So I want to tell you, go check that one out. It's, I think, a month old by now. Definitely a worthwhile watch. A bit longer than this video, but still kind of the same. And if you've made it this far into the video already, well, why not subscribe to the channel? More gaming commentary just like this every Thursday and Saturday. Many companies, like I said, do look at single player games as if it's like a dead kind of genre thing. And I do understand that from a monetary perspective, because when you look at it, you either make a game which is single player or maybe cooperative, and you put years and years of time in it, and you get a person to buy it for 60 bucks, but the chances of them like buying extra stuff from that, like a store or things, isn't really that high. And so you're gonna get like one person to pay you 60 bucks, and that's it. That's all the money you're going to get from that experience. While if you have another game where you make it multiplayer, well, for one, you don't need to make AI. Like Rainbow Six Siege does not need, like, it doesn't have AI. It's not part of the game. There is AI for the single player event that you had back in the day when you had the tutorial missions. I don't know if that's still part of the game, but there was AI in the game a tiny bit. But for the majority of the time, you don't really need AI with these multiplayer games because you can fight each other. So it takes a lot less time for developers to make it. So that's less years of work. You still get those 60 bucks. And because it's a multiplayer game and it keeps updating, they can say like, hey, why not spend this amount of money? I mean, hell, I'm part of the problem in that case. I bought the battle pass. I bought the Rainbow Six battle pass because I started enjoying the game again. Like that's what I mean. Like these games, they get a lot more money. I've spent a lot more money on Rainbow Six Siege than I have on Red Dead Redemption 2 or GTA 5. And that is the truth. And that is because those games keep getting updated. Like I said, they get updated, they get new content, and then I pay for that content. And that is in a way a good done deal. But still, for a developer and a publisher, that's a lot more logical to go for that rather than to just make a single player game. And well, now we've spent last 5 to 6 years working on that. Let's do it again and get way less money. So from a monetary value, I do understand that. I can't really hate that. But then I think that gamers really aren't that competitive because when you look at it, they're really just doing what the what the games want them to do, right? If the game can only be fun, if you can win from others, well, then it's logical that people are going to do anything within their power to do it. And I cannot excuse cheating, but using an exploit of a certain game, I can excuse, because that is part of a game. That is a bug that they found or someone found out and they took over, and I can't really hate on them for using that because for them that's that extra dopamine kick. And it is unfair, sure, but it's not unfair in the sense that the other person can't use that same exploit, right? So I think it's a bit of a mixed bag in that sense, but when I look at it, I'm leaning a bit more towards people not actually being as competitive, especially when you look at those games from earlier this year that did so well, those cooperative experiences that people really did enjoy. We're here to have fun. The gaming sphere is all about having fun. It's about relaxing, taking it back, right? Just leaning back, enjoying your time, and just being casual fun. And there is competitiveness in that, and that is logical. There is esports. There is so many different things that make it logical that you'd want to be better than someone else. But still, I feel like there should be a more mixed focus between competitive and casual games, because when you look at a game like Pal Worlds, or you look at a game like Lethal Company, and you look at how you play with your friends, and like when you look at the games that you enjoyed the most playing with your friends, when you think about it, those types of games weren't competitive. I know so many people that like still remember the times where they played Skate, and it wasn't about being better than your friend. It was about laughing and doing the whole like, what is it, like breaking your bones and stuff thing. Like so many fun times are had with casual games, with games that are all about having fun together rather than being better than someone else. Because when you try to be better than someone else the entire time, eventually you're gonna not be able to get higher, right? You're not going to be able to top the next person, and that's just gonna sit bad with you. And that eventually means that it's an endless cycle and you'll never really fully feel satisfied. But if you can play a game to enjoy enjoy a game and you can really enjoy gaming, well, I think you've made it. That's exactly what it should be about. And it warms my heart to see games like Power and Lethal Company do so well and see how people do actually enjoy those games and how people want to keep playing those types of games. So I hope that if there's one message I can send to game developers or gamers out there, please, please, please just enjoy what you are playing, because if you are not, and if there's only like a small dopamine kick you get from it, just don't play that game. I'm sure that there are many other games out there that you would enjoy way more, that you could play with your friends even, and you could all enjoy. And those fun times, those funny moments that you used to have, or maybe sometimes you have, those could be lived a lot more than you can imagine. In short, I think it's still gonna stay the same. I'm trying to convey this message, but I don't know if it's gonna go out there. I know I'm a small channel. I know I don't really have much to say to people, but if you did watch up until this end, I do want to thank you for helping out my small channel and watching this video. I feel like if you're yelling at someone who's acting like an idiot in Rainbow Six Siege or Counter-Strike, that same guy could be someone you could have endless hours of fun with in Minecraft, in Lethal Company, in Palworld, in Skate 3, like in so many different games. And I feel like we should be less competitive towards each other and have more fun with each other. It's not gonna stay forever, right? People move on, people get older. Not everyone wants to play games until they're 30 or 40 years old. So, you know, enjoy it while you can and enjoy having this fun that you get from games. I think it's just a beautiful thing to have those friendships and be able to spend those games together. And well, if you're someone who plays single player games alone, also enjoy that. Be able to enjoy the single player experiences that you have and be able to enjoy the stories, the gameplay experiences and whatnot. But of course, like I said, my answer, there's not really an answer, right? I haven't really, I'm leaning towards an answer, but I don't have concrete proof saying that, well, there's one way or the other. So I'm gonna ask you for maybe your opinion and tell me what you think the gaming sphere is about when it comes to competitiveness. Because do you feel that competitiveness is actually still kind of in and it's just going to stay as big, or you feel like I said, where you're leaning towards more like gamers aren't really that competitive, it's just the sphere that they are brought into right now, right? It's either through peer pressure with their friends playing it and being like, oh, come on, let's play the game. There could be many different opinions you guys have, and I'd really, really like it if you put them in the comments down below. So thank you very much if you do. And while you're down there writing your opinion, why not also subscribe to the channel? I deliver videos just like this, high quality gaming commentary every Thursday and Saturday. Anyhow, with that, I'd like to say, well, I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.